The studio lot was almost silent by the time Keanu Reeves walked out of the editing room. The lights buzzed softly above his head, casting a dull orange glow on the pavement. It was late, well past midnight, the kind of cold that sank through jackets and past skin. He pulled his scarf tighter and kept walking, his boots tapping slow against the concrete. This was supposed to be a good day. It was his birthday, but Keanu hadn't told anyone. He never did. There was no party, no cake, no team gathering like others had when their day came. Just work, edits, voiceovers, meetings. A long stretch of hours that moved like fog. He didn't mind, or maybe he did. But he had learned long ago to carry things quietly. His phone had stayed quiet all day. No buzzes, no missed calls, just silence. He reached the parking area and stopped beside his motorcycle. He stood there a moment longer than he needed to. The wind brushed past, catching the edge of his coat. It was one of those moments he felt fully alone. And yet the world kept moving like he didn't matter. But someone was watching from behind the trailers. Armas sat hidden in a small car parked in the shadows. She had waited there for nearly an hour. She saw Keanu come out, saw how slowly he moved, how he looked up at the sky like it might say something back. She clutched the small paper box on her lap and whispered, "Come on, don't leave yet." She had heard a grip mention it by accident days ago. Keanu's birthday was coming. Not a big deal, just something quiet someone remembered. She had pretended not to care, had smiled and nodded and gone back to her makeup trailer. But inside, something didn't sit right. It's a way no one planned anything. The way he always gave and never expected in return. She remembered how he brought coffee to a crew member who twisted his ankle, how he stayed behind to help an intern fix a scene, how he asked others if they were okay more than he ever answered the question himself. So she decided she'd do something small, simple, quiet like him. But now that the moment had come, she wasn't sure anymore. Would he think it was too much? Would he feel embarrassed? Would he brush it off the way kind people sometimes do when someone finally turns the mirror on them? She was still thinking when she saw him turn toward his bike. Her fingers tightened on the box. Then something strange happened. Keanu didn't start the engine. Instead, he sat down on the curb beside his bike. His shoulders curved forward like they carried too many invisible things. His head dipped slightly. He didn't move for nearly a minute. It was like he just needed to stop pretending. Anna opened her car door. He heard the click and looked up fast. A figure walked toward him from the dark, lit only by the soft glow of the trailer lights behind her. Her face wasn't clear yet, but her steps were gentle. He stood slowly, unsure of what to expect. "Anna," said, voice quiet. She smiled, a little nervous, and held out the box. "I didn't know what kind of cake you liked," she said softly, "so I got chocolate. It seemed like the safe choice." Keanu looked at the box, then at her. "Why?" he asked, not suspicious, just surprised. She tilted her head. "Because it's your birthday, and you matter." He didn't speak right away. His hands took the box like it might vanish. No one had said those words to him today, maybe not for years, not like that. "Thank you," he said finally. Anna nodded, not stepping away. "I thought maybe we could eat a little. Just talk, if that's okay." Keanu gave a slow smile. Not the public one, not the press one, a real one. Tired, but honest. "Yeah," he said. "That'd be really nice." They sat on the curb together, sharing cake with plastic forks. The world stayed quiet around them. No cameras. No crowd. Just two people who had spent so long being seen by everyone but understood by so few. Anna told him how her mother used to light candles even when no one showed up for her birthdays. Keanu listened and told her how he used to ride his bike alone through the hills, pretending each mile was a new year he had survived. "It's not just cake," she said later. "It's knowing someone sees you." "I see you, Keanu." He looked down at the box again, a small dent where the fork had pressed in. "I didn't know anyone cared," he whispered. "You should," she replied, "because we do. Even when we're quiet about it." For the first time that day, maybe, the first time in weeks, Keanu didn't feel like he had to hold everything together. Not for anyone, not for the cameras, not even for himself. They sat there long after the cake was gone, talking like it was their first real conversation. And in some ways, maybe it was by the time Anna stood to leave. The moon was high above them. "Happy birthday, Keanu," she said. "You made it one," he replied. And when he watched her walk away, he knew something had changed. Not everything, not yet, but something. He didn't ride home right away.
All right.
Instead, he looked up again. This time, the sky felt a little less quiet. Keanu Reeves couldn't sleep. The morning sun pushed softly through his window, warming the corners of the empty apartment. It was peaceful, quiet, the kind of silence most people begged for, but for Keanu, the stillness carried weight. He sat at the small table in his kitchen, a half-empty cup of tea beside him, untouched. He kept staring at the empty cake box from last night. The same box Anna de Armas had handed him with both hands, her voice unsure, but her eyes steady. He had been surprised many times in his life on sets. On the streets, by fans, by strangers, but this was different. It wasn't loud or overwhelming. It wasn't about fame or admiration. It was about being seen. Just one person who noticed. He touched the edge of the box and smiled just a little. Then his smile faded. Because something about that night had stayed with him more than the cake. More than the words, it was the feeling. Someone finally reached in. Anna sat in her trailer the next day with her phone in her lap, screen lit but untouched. She had opened a blank message to Keanu more than once. Typed, erased, typed again, then gave up. She didn't want to make things awkward. What if he had just been polite? What if it didn't mean as much to him as it had to her? But the truth was something had changed in her too. When she had seen him sitting alone on the curb, something cracked open in her chest. Maybe because she had known that kind of quiet, the kind where you're surrounded by people, yet still feel like nobody's looking at you. Not really. She hadn't meant to stay that long, just hadn't wanted to walk away. And now she couldn't stop thinking about it. The next few days passed slowly. Keanu showed up to set on time, as always. He smiled. He shook hands. He hit his marks. Everything on the surface stayed the same, but Anna noticed the difference. He lingered more after scenes.
Yeah.
He laughed a little deeper. And once, when she forgot, her lines froze in front of the camera. He didn't rush or speak. He just looked at her, gently nodded. She found her way back. No words, just that look. And she realized then he had always been this way, holding people up quietly. But maybe no one had held him up in return until now. One evening, ignoring a break in filming, Anna stood near the monitors, sipping water. Keanu came over holding a fresh coffee in each hand. He didn't say anything, just offered her one. She blinked, smiled, and took it. "Thank you," she said. He nodded. "You like cinnamon, right?" She looked down at the foam. Cinnamon swirled in the center like someone had actually paid attention. "Yeah," she said softly. "I do." He didn't stay long. He just stood beside her a moment, then walked away. But that was enough. It wasn't big. It was honest. That weekend, the crew threw a rap party at a small rented venue outside the city. Bright lights, loud music, clinking glasses. It was the kind of place where actors let loose and crews finally relaxed. Keanu almost didn't go. He wasn't one for crowds or noise. But something made him say yes. Maybe it was the way Anna had smiled at him yesterday. Maybe it was the fact that for once, someone had reached across the line first. He showed up late. Black shirt, jeans, hands in pockets. Most people didn't notice right away, but Anna did. She walked over, no hesitation. "You came?" she said. "You asked," he replied simply. She laughed. "I didn't ask." He shrugged. "You smiled." And they stood there for a few seconds longer, just looking at each other in the buzz of the party. Two quiet people surrounded by noise. A sudden cheer went up on the other side of the room. Someone was starting karaoke. Anna turned to him. "Do you sing?" Keanu shook his head with a soft chuckle. "Only in my helmet, that counts." "Not tonight," he said, "then sit with me." Okay. They sat in the corner of the venue, far from the noise. And as the party grew louder, their voices grew softer. They talked about the ocean, about growing up, about the one role that almost broke them. Anna told him how she once cried after a table read because she felt invisible. Keanu told her how, even in success, loneliness followed him like a shadow sometimes. People think being known means being loved, he said. Sometimes it just means being watched. That's why I brought the cake, she replied. I wanted to do something real, even if it was small. He looked at her then, not like a co-star, not like a friend, but like someone who had been quietly waiting to be seen. You did, he said. Anna didn't reply. She didn't need to. Asterisk later that night, as people started leaving, someone spilled a drink. Glasses broke. Laughter rang out. Keanu offered to help clean up. The others laughed and waved him off. You're the star, man. Go rest. But he still bent down and picked up shards of glass with a napkin. Anna saw it, and she walked over. Didn't say anything. Just knelt beside him and helped two people on the floor, in the middle of a party, doing the quiet thing together. When they finished, they looked at each other and smiled. Happy belated birthday, she whispered again. He nodded, eyes soft. This is one of the best I've had, he said, and it had nothing to do with cake. The night ended quietly. No grand goodbye, no paparazzi, just a look, a wave, a connection. But something was different now, Anna. It didn't just surprise him that night with a box of cake. She surprised him by staying, and he didn't know how much he needed that until she did. The rain started early the next morning. It tapped against Keanu's windows like soft fingers trying to wake him gently. The sky was a dull gray, the kind that made the world feel slower. He sat by the window with a book open in his lap, though. He hadn't turned the page in 20 minutes. His mind kept returning to the night before, to the moment on the floor beside Anna, to the quiet cleanup, to the cinnamon in her coffee, and to the strange, heavy lightness that settled in his chest. After she left, he wasn't used to this kind of attention. Not this kind. People often stared. Fans waved. Cameras followed. But real attention, one person noticing without asking for anything in return, was rare. Anna didn't just notice. She understood, and that stayed with him. On set that day. The rain had delayed the outdoor shoots. Trailers filled with restless energy. Actors sat with scripts in their laps. Crew members checked the weather apps like the sky might change if they stared long enough. Keanu sat inside his trailer, flipping through notes. Then there was a soft knock. He opened the door. Anna stood there holding 2 umbrellas. She gave a small smile and said, I know the scene's canceled, but I thought maybe we could still walk. Keanu blinked, surprised. In the rain? Why not? She shrugged. You once said you liked the sound. He stepped back and let the moment sink in. She remembered that. He'd said it during a break, just offhand, while staring out the studio window. He nodded slowly. Okay, they walked side by side, umbrellas clicking softly as they moved through the muddy path that wrapped around the back of the studio. No makeup, no cameras. Just 2 actors dressed in oversized coats and old boots, trying to find silence in the noise. A falling rain, Donna spoke first. You ever feel like people only talk to you when they want something? Keanu looked ahead, thinking. Sometimes. Used to think if I got famous enough, she said, I wouldn't feel lonely anymore. Now I just feel lonely with more people around. Keanu gave a soft nod. Fame doesn't replace connection. It just hides the need for it. Anna looked down at the puddles. Sometimes I think the real me is quiet, but the world keeps trying to make her louder. He stopped walking then. You don't have to be louder, he said. She turned toward him, their umbrellas tilted slightly in the breeze. You just have to be heard by the right person. And for a moment, they just stood there, the rain soft around them, the noise of the studio far behind. No one watching, no one performing. Just truth hanging gently between them. Anna smiled slowly. You always say the right thing without trying. I'm not trying, he said. Exactly, she whispered. Asterisk, asterisk. Back in the trailer later that afternoon, Keanu found an envelope tucked in the side pocket of his jacket. No name, just a folded piece of paper. He opened it and read slowly. You don't talk much, but your silence says enough. You don't ask for help, but you help everyone else. I just want you to know. I see you on Ahi. Read it twice, then again, and then carefully, he placed it inside his notebook. He didn't know why, but it felt like something he'd need again. Asterisk, asterisk later that week. A new challenge arrived on set. An emotional scene between Anna and Keanu was scheduled. It was the most vulnerable part of the film. Two broken characters finally speaking what they had buried for years. There was no action, no music, just dialogue. Raw and still, Keanu arrived early. He walked through the lines again and again. Not because he didn't know them, but because he wanted to feel them truthfully. Anna entered quietly and sat beside him. You ready? She asked. As ready as I can be. Can I tell you something? She said, voice soft. He nodded. I've done this scene 100 times in rehearsals, but it's never felt real until now. With you. He looked at her, unsure what to say. You don't push, she explained. You just stay. And that makes everything feel safer. He nodded slowly. I'll be here. When the cameras rolled, something changed. It wasn't acting anymore. When Anna delivered her lines, tears slipped down her cheeks, not because she forced them, but because they came naturally, like a truth finally finding its voice. When Keanu answered, his words weren't scripted. They sounded like confessions he had kept for years. When the director yelled, cut, the entire set stayed. Silent, no one clapped. No one moved. It was too real. And in that moment, everyone finally understood what Keanu and Anna had already discovered in quiet conversations. Midnight walks and broken pieces of cake, the most powerful moments don't always come with noise. They come when someone dares to see another person clearly. Asterisk, asterisk after the scene. Anna sat alone outside, eyes still red. The clouds had cleared. Soft breeze moved through the lot. Keanu walked up, sat beside her, said nothing. She didn't need him to speak. He just placed a warm cup beside her and waited. After a while, she whispered, thank you. He looked out toward the hills and said quietly, you gave me something too. What? He turned his head just slightly. A reason to stay present. Asterisk, asterisk, as the sun dipped below the rooftops, turning the sky golden. Anna leaned her head on his shoulder not because she was tired, but because it felt like the right place to be. Keanu didn't move. Not away, not forward. Just there, and that was enough. The final weeks of filming crept in like a slow goodbye. Each scene shot brought them closer to the end. Each day a quiet reminder that what they had, this rhythm, this unspoken understanding, might not last beyond the script, Keanu Reeves felt. So did Ana de Armas. It wasn't just about finishing a movie anymore. It was about what had built between the lines. It's not romance, not performance, but something more fragile. Something that didn't need to be named to be real. On the outside, everything looked the same. The crew worked like clockwork. The press visited the set for behind-the-scenes interviews. Makeup artists hurried. Assistants ran with clipboards. The energy of a film near completion filled the air. But beneath all that noise was a smaller, quieter current to people realizing how rare it is to feel safe with someone in a world built on masks. Asterisk, asterisk. Anna had been quiet all morning. They were filming a short emotional scene in a narrow hallway. The lighting was tight, the space small, her lines short. But something was off. Keanu noticed immediately. Between takes, she avoided eye contact. Her hands trembled slightly. Even the director asked if she wanted to take a break. She shook her head and forced a smile. I'm fine, she said. But Keanu knew that word too well. It was a word people used when they weren't. When the scene wrapped, he found her alone in the dressing room, sitting in front of the mirror, her makeup still. Untouched, he knocked gently on the open door. Can I come in? He asked. Anna looked up. Her eyes looked tired, not from lack of sleep, but from trying to hold everything in. She nodded. He walked in slowly and sat beside her. For a while they said nothing, just the hum of the mirror lights between them. Then softly he said, "You don't have to smile today." Her lips trembled, and finally she let go. Not with tears, but with words. "My dad called this morning," she whispered. "He wanted to remind me how proud he is." Then he said, "Just remember, it's all acting. Don't let it get to your head." Keanu stayed quiet. Anna looked at her hands. "I know he meant well, but sometimes it feels like I'm only allowed to succeed if I don't feel it. Like I have to stay small to be lovable." Keanu nodded slowly. "I've heard that voice before." She turned toward him, surprised. "I once had someone tell me, the world loves you more when you disappear between roles." It stuck with me. Anna's eyes softened. "What did you do?" "I started writing letters," he said. "To send. Just to say what I couldn't." "To who?" "To myself. To the version of me that still believed he needed permission to be real." Anna looked away, swallowing hard. Keanu reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a folded paper. "I wrote one last night," he said. "After the scene. I thought about throwing it away. That maybe you should have it." She hesitated, then took the paper. On it were just a few lines. "You don't have to shrink to be loved. You don't have to disappear to be respected. Your presence is not a favor, it's a gift. Still always." Her breath caught. She folded the paper gently, like it might tear if handled too hard. "Thank you," she said. "You don't owe me anything," he replied. "I just wanted you to know." Yana stood up, walked over to him, and hugged him, not because she needed comfort, but because she wanted to give it. He didn't resist. He just stayed in that moment with her, and it felt like a memory being made. In real time, the next day brought a surprise. The director called a meeting. It wasn't on the schedule. The crew gathered near the main tent. Whispers passed through the group. Then the announcement came. "We've been approved to film a final alternate ending, something raw, something deeper. We're keeping it under wraps for now." The team clapped, some cheered, but Keanu and Anna looked at each other, both sensing the same thing. This wasn't just another scene. This was the moment the story turned personal. They were handed the new pages later that evening. It was just them. No extras, no props, a single bench in an empty courtyard. Both characters stripped of everything except their truth. Keanu read the lines once, then twice. Then he put the script down. Anna did the same. "This feels different," she said. "Because it is," he replied. They practiced quietly, not with words, but by walking the space, sitting in silence, breathing near each other, learning again how to listen without interrupting. It was like returning to the cake at midnight, to the umbrella in the rain, to the cleanup on the floor. Every quiet moment had led them here. When the cameras rolled. They didn't perform, they just existed. Anna's character admitted she had been pretending her whole life, trying to become what others needed, forgetting who she really was. Keanu's character didn't fix her. He didn't interrupt. He just said, "You're allowed to be seen, even when you're not perfect," and a wept not because she had to, but because the line hit too close to a truth she'd buried. The camera kept rolling. No one yelled cut, and that was the beauty of it. They finished the scene sitting shoulder to shoulder, just breathing. When the director finally stepped forward, his voice cracked. "We're keeping this. This is the ending now." No one disagreed. That night, Keanu stood by his motorcycle again. It's the same place she had found him weeks ago. But this time, he wasn't alone. Anna walked up with 2 slices of cake and a paper. "Napkin? No candles," she said. "Just crumbs," smiled. "Those are the best parts." They sat on the curb again, not because they were repeating something, but because some places hold meaning when shared. "You okay?" she asked. Keanu looked out toward the horizon. "Yeah," he said. "I think I'm finally starting to be." This time when he said it, he meant it. The set was quiet. not in the usual way, but in a way that felt final. Gear cases were packed, lights dimmed, trailers cleared out. The buzz of production had faded into soft goodbyes and long hugs. People moved slower. Conversations stretched. No one wanted to say the last word. Keanu Reeves stood beside his motorcycle, helmet in hand, watching the crew disassemble what had once been a world they all lived in. The movie was done, wrapped, printed in film and memory. But something inside him felt unfinished. Ana de Armas stood not far away, saying goodbye to a lighting tech she had grown close to. Her laughter still sounded easy, but her eyes flicked toward Keanu more than once. She hadn't spoken to him much that morning, not because she didn't want to, but because she didn't know how to say goodbye to someone who had changed something inside her. Without even trying, they both felt it. This wasn't just the end of a movie, it was the end of something quiet they had built in the spaces between scenes, and neither knew how to hold on to it once the cameras stopped rolling. Asterisk, an hour later. Keanu placed his helmet on the seat but didn't climb on. He looked across the lot. Ana was standing alone now, looking at a row of empty chairs. One of them had his name taped to the back. She walked to it slowly, reached down, and peeled the paper off, folded it, pocketed it. Then she turned. Their eyes met. He didn't wave. She didn't smile. They just stood there, to still points in a moving world. Finally, she walked over. "You're leaving today?" she asked. "That was the plan." She don't sound. "Sure." He looked down at his boots. "I'm not." She waited. He finally said, "Every time something good ends. I wonder if I was present enough to feel it while it was happening." Ana nodded slowly. "You were." Keanu looked at her. "Were you?" "I think I was," she said, "because I can still feel it now." They stood in silence. He stepped closer. "There's something I didn't say before." Head waiting. "You were the first person in a long time who made me feel like I didn't have to perform off camera." Ana looked down, eyes full. "You made me feel like I didn't have to prove I belonged." Keanu gave a small smile. "Maybe we were both waiting to be seen." She stepped forward, not too close, but enough. "So what happens now?" she whispered. "Now," he said, "we decide if what we built here was only for the set, something we're both willing to keep." Her eyes didn't flinch. "I want to keep it," she said. His shoulders relaxed. "Me too." Asterisk that night. Ana sat on the edge of her bed in her hotel room, suitcase open beside her, half-packed. The city lights blinked outside her window, but her mind was far from the room. Her phone buzzed. A message. From Keanu. "There's a bench outside. The old bookstore on 3rd. No cameras. No scripts. Just conversation, if you want." She stared at the screen for a moment, then grabbed her coat. Asterisk, he was already there when she arrived. No helmet this time. Just Keanu in a dark coat, hands tucked into his sleeves, eyes scanning the sidewalk. Like he wasn't sure if she'd come. When she sat down beside him, he didn't speak. He just looked over, nodded once, and handed her a small white envelope. She opened it slowly. Inside was a photo, a candid shot from Setter, laughing mid-scene. Him in the background smiling, unnoticed. On the back, his handwriting. "You didn't see me, but I was there. Thank you for seeing me too." Ana clutched the photo to her chest. "I don't want to lose this," she said. "Then don't." "Is it really that simple?" "Maybe not," he admitted. "But it can be, if we both keep showing up." Ana turned to face him. "I'm scared it won't be the same when we're not acting." "Then don't act," he said gently. "Just be." A car passed by slowly. The bookstore behind them had long closed, but the bench felt like a space outside time. "I never thought a midnight cake would start something real," she whispered. "The best things come quiet," Keanu said. "Just like you did that night," Ana smiled. "I was terrified." "You hit it well." "No, I didn't." "Okay," he said softly. "You didn't, but thank you for doing it anyway." She took a deep breath. "Do you ever wonder why we crossed paths in this way?" she asked. "Sometimes," he replied, "but maybe it's not about why." "Then what is it about? What we do with it now?" "It's asterisk." They sat for over an hour, sharing memories, fears, old wounds, and new hopes. Not trying to impress, not pretending to be strong. Just human. When the cold finally wrapped around them, Keanu stood. "Can I walk you back?" he asked. "Only if you keep talking," she said. "I don't talk much. You say everything even when you don't." He smiled and they began walking down the sidewalk. No flashes, no crowd, no performance. Just steps. Just presence. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. They reached the corner. Anna stopped. "I have something for you too," she said. She pulled a folded page from her coat pocket. "I wrote this on set. I didn't know if I'd give it to you." He took the page, unfolding it carefully. "Dear Keanu, you once told me silence can be louder than words. I believe that now. 'Cause even in the quiet moments, you made me feel like I mattered," I thought. "Changed me. So if we ever forget what this was, let's remember how it started. Not with fireworks, but with cake. Not with lines, but with care. And not with pretending, but with being seen." Keanu didn't speak. He just folded the page again slowly, placed it in his jacket next to the letter she had written weeks ago. "You're going to keep it?" she asked. "I'm going to carry it." They walked again, not as co-stars, not as characters, but as two people who had finally learned what it meant to truly show up. Days turned to weeks. The film released quietly, without the usual storm of headlines. Critics praised it. Fans shared scenes online. One clip, the final courtyard scene between Keanu and Anna, went viral not because of a dramatic twist, but because of the silence in it. The stillness, the truth, the way to people just stayed present, but what happened off-screen, that was the real story. The one no camera could capture. Keanu Reeves didn't go back to his normal routine right away. Something inside him had shifted. Something deeper than habit. Something warmer than routine. He wasn't used to staying in one place after a film. He usually traveled. Rode through cities. Disappeared this time. He stayed. Not because of duty, because of her. Asterisk, Anna de Armas finished her next project early. Interviews came and went. Her face appeared on billboards. Fans screamed her name at red carpets. But something in her smile had changed. It was softer now. Less like armor, more like sunlight. She wasn't performing as much anymore. She had started to feel safe, being herself, because someone had shown her that she didn't have to be loud to be real. Asterisk, one. Rainy afternoon, Anna sat in a small bookstore, the same one behind the bench where they'd once met after rap. She was thumbing through a poetry collection when she heard the bell above the door. She looked up. Keanu walked in, helmet tucked under his arm, raindrops still clinging to his jacket. He saw her and paused, then smiled. She closed the book and stood. "You found me," she said. "Wasn't hard," he replied. "I wasn't looking for the store." She tilted her head. "Then what were you looking for?" "A reason to stay in the city," he said. She walked toward him slowly. "Have you found it?" Keanu looked at her, steady. "I think I already did." They didn't embrace. They didn't kiss. Not yet. They just stood close. No cameras, no pretending. Just two people who had slowly built something quiet, patient, and real, brick by brick. Moment by moment, Anna nodded toward a small couch in the corner. "Sit with me." "Always," he said. Asterisk, they spent the afternoon reading. Sometimes aloud, sometimes not. She handed him a line from a poem that made her heart pause. He gave her a story from a book he used to read on set. They passed silence between them like a shared cup of tea. No noise, just trust, just presence. Asterisk, after the bookstore closed. They walked out into the fading daylight. The rain had stopped. Puddles shimmered like glass on the sidewalk. "I still have that photo," Anna said. "The one you gave me." "I still have your letter," Keanu replied. "Ever read it again?" "Almost every week." She smiled. "Used to think connection came from grand moments," she said. "But now I think it comes from small ones, the kind most people miss." "I've missed a lot," Keanu admitted. "But I didn't miss this." Asterisk, asterisk, as they reached the bench once more, they paused. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I hadn't brought you that cake? She asked. Keanu looked up at the sky. I think life would have kept going, he said. But I don't think I would have come alive in the same way. Anna exhaled, steady. I was scared to knock that night. I was scared no one would. Asterisk, asterisk, they sat, and this time when her head rested on his shoulder, it wasn't uncertain. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't part of a script, it was the result of everything they had slowly written between them without a single camera watching. Asterisk, asterisk, months later. A small magazine published an interview with Keanu. The journalist asked what the best gift he had ever received was. He paused for a long time, then said quietly, a slice of chocolate cake, on a night I thought everyone had forgotten me. Who gave it to you? He smiled. Someone who didn't say much, but said everything that mattered. Asterisk, asterisk, Anna's interview came weeks later. They asked her what changed her the most during the last year. She thought about the parties, the scenes, the fame, scripts. Then she said, a person who listened when I was quiet, never asked me to be louder. Asterisk, asterisk, they never announced anything official. They never posed together on carpets, but sometimes were spotted side by side, on late-night walks, in quiet bookstores, in quiet cafes, always talking, or not talking, but always there. And when people asked how they stayed close after the film ended, they answered with the same phrase every time, by not waiting for special occasions to care. Asterisk, asterisk, because in the end, it wasn't the film that changed them. It was the midnight cake, the cinnamon coffee, the silence during a rain walk, the shared letters, the bench outside the bookstore, decision to stay when leaving would have been easier. Asterisk, asterisk, Keanu Reeves didn't just act in another movie that year. He healed a piece of himself he didn't know was still hurting, and Ana de Armas didn't just play a role. She stepped into her real self and finally stayed there. Asterisk, asterisk, no ending, no beginning, just presence. And sometimes that's more than enough.